Okay, this is the homework. If you need any help on the homework, if you have any questions, hopefully you can look at this video and it can answer it for you. This first one here, first and second one, all you're doing is you're just evaluating these x values into this piecewise function, so you don't need to graph it all. When x is 0, which equation do you plug into? Well, you want to plug into the equation that has the domain where 0 sort of fits into it. 0 is between -2 and 2, so we're plugging into this guy. 5 minus 0 is 5. If I want to evaluate the function at 2, we want to plug into this top one, because 2 is between -2 and 2 when 2 is included in this. It's x values less than or equal to 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3. And then 4 is in this domain up here. X value is less than or equal to 4. So if I plug in here 3 times 4 minus 10, we're going to get 2. Number 2, same deal. If we're evaluating, -4 is less than -3, so we're plugging into this top function. 8 plus 6 times -4 is -16. -3 is in the second domain, because -3 is greater than or equal to -3. If we plug in, it's a little gross with the fraction, but it just ends up being 3. 0 is also in this second domain. That's between -3 and 2. We get 4. 2 is in this last domain. 2 is greater than or equal to 2. 2 times 4 minus 3 is 5. And 4 is also in this last domain. 4 is greater than or equal to 2. 4 times 4 minus 3 is 13. All right. If we flip over, 3 is a graphing piecewise function one. So let's just jump in here. Piece 1 will be -3x minus 8, and piece 2 will be -3x plus 5. And this first one is x values less than 0, so I'm going to do 0, -1, -2 for my x values. At 0, it's going to be an open circle, since it's x less than 0. And at -2, we're going to have an arrow. Since it doesn't stop at -2, that's just the last x value that we're plotting. If I go ahead and plug in, we're going to get -8, -5, and -2. And again, we're plugging into the top equation. For the second equation, it's for x values greater than or equal to 0. So we're going to start with 0, and then we're going to go up. So 0, 1, 2. We're going to have a closed circle here at 0, since it's x greater than or equal to 0. We're going to have an arrow to end it. Because again, this is just the last x value that we're plotting. And if I plug into this, we get 5, 2, and -1 for these values. And again, I'm just plugging into the second equation. If we go to graph these, so 0, -8, and it needs to be open, and then -1, -5, and then -2, -2. We want to have an arrow, at the end of this. And then for the other one, 0, 5, that's going to be closed. 1, 2, 2, -1. And we're going to have an arrow at the end of this one. All right. So number 4. So the domain for, piece 1 will be 1/2 x plus 5. Piece 2 will be 5. And let's see here. The domain for the first piece is -10 to 0. So we definitely want to have 0 and -10 in here. And then any other value, I'll just do -5 since it's in the middle. You know what? No, let's do -6. We have this. You can pick any value you want, but that'll be a nicer number. And let's see here. At 0, it's going to be closed, since it's less than or equal. And at -10, it's going to be closed, since it's greater than or equal. If I plug in 0, we get 5. If I plug in -6, if we had chosen -5, that would work out fine, but you're going to get a decimal. I would prefer just to have a nice whole number. 1/2 times -6 plus 5 is 3. Nope, 2. And then last one here, -10, we get 0. And then for the other piece, it's x values greater than 0. So we'll say 0, 1, 2. And it'll be open at 0, because it's greater than 0, not greater than or equal. We'll have an arrow to sort of end this, because it keeps going after 2. And all the y values here are going to be 5. Okay, so if I graph piece 1 first, we have a closed point at 0, 5. At -6, 2. we have a point, and then at negative 10, 0, we have a closed point. We're not going to have an arrow at the end of this one. We're just going to have sort of this line segment. And then for piece 2, we start at 0, 5 with an open circle. That just sort of goes right over the point we already had there. And then 1, 5, 2, 5. This just sort of keeps going on forever. All right, we have 2 more problems on the back. So number 5, piece 1 will be x plus 5, x squared plus 2x plus 3. And let's see here. Its x value is less than negative 2, so I'll do negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Negative 2 will be open. Since it's less than negative 2, at negative 4, we're going to have an arrow going out. If I go ahead and plug in, we're going to get 3, 2, and 1 if we plug in these x values to this top function. For the second piece, its x value is greater than or equal to negative 2, so we're going to have negative 2, negative 1, and 0. And it's going to be closed at negative 2 since it's greater than or equal. And at 0, we're going to have an arrow because it keeps going after 0. That's just the last point that we're plotting. If we plug these into this equation, you should get 3, 2, and 3. Just make sure if you're using a calculator, if you're plugging in negatives, straight into this, you're putting parentheses around it. It's probably easier to use the table function in your calculator if you have a graphing calculator at home. All right, so let's graph these. Negative 2, 3, we're going to have an open circle. And then negative 3, 2, negative 4, 1. And we're going to have an arrow that sort of goes down with this. And then for this other guy, negative 2, 3, well, that just sort of fills in that open circle. Negative 1, 2, 0, 3. And this is going to be a parabola. It sort of goes up like this. All right. Last one, number 6. It looks annoying. It is a little annoying. Piece 1 will be negative 1/2 x. Piece 2 will be this x plus 1, x minus 2. Why did they write it factored? I don't know. And the last piece is 9 minus x. All right, the first piece, x value is less than or equal to 2. So I'm going to say 2, 1, 0. X value is less than or equal to 2. At 2, it's going to be a closed point since it's less than or equal. And at 0, we're going to have an arrow going out since it keeps going. If we go ahead and plug into this, we're going to get negative 1, negative 0.5. Oh, I guess I could have picked a different number. Oh, well. And then 0. If we plug in 0, we get 0. For piece 2, its x values between 2 and 4. So we're going to do 2, 3, 4. 2 and 4 are both going to be open circles. That's okay. And if we plug into this, it's annoying because of the way it is. Again, use the table if you have it. If not, just plug in the x value of 2 for both of these and multiply them together, see what you get. So if I plug in 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 2 minus 2 is 0, and 3 times 0 is 0. If I plug in 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 3 minus 2 is 1, and 4 times 1 is 4. And if I plug in 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, 4 minus 2 is 2, 5 times 2 is 10. Last one, this 9 minus x is for x values greater than or equal to 5. So we're starting at 5. I'm going to go 5, 6, 7. And if I plug these into the 9 minus x, we're going to get 4, 3, 2. And I guess we never did fill in these parts. When x is 5, that's going to be closed since it's greater than or equal to 5. We're going to have an arrow going out to end this one since 7 is just the last x value we're plotting, but it's all x values greater than 7, greater than or equal to 7. All right, so let's plot these points. 2, negative 1. And it's going to be closed. 1, negative 0.5, and 0, 0. We're going to have an arrow going out. All right, piece 2. We're going to have open circles to sort of end this line segment on both sides. So we're going to start off at 2, 0. Then we're going to have a point at 3, 4. And then at 4, 10. This is actually a part of a parabola. And it's going to look something like that. And then the last one, at 5, 4, that's going to be a closed circle. 6, 3, 7, 2. And we're going to have an arrow going out for that. notice from 4 to 5, our graph does not have any y values, and that's because the domain skipped from 4 to 5, and that's okay. That will happen from time to time. All right, that's it for the homework. Hopefully this helped if you had any questions. Don't forget to go on and do your little digital learning quiz before you finish for the day. Have a good day.